Hello, radiant beings. Welcome back. Welcome back. I am Activation Divine Mirror session day 4. We've had 4 incredibly beautiful, wonderful days together. I see a lot of you guys coming into the room, connecting to the audio. So we'll give just a couple of seconds here. Hello, Sonia, Steve, Sherry, Bonnie, Paul. Good to see you all again. Welcome back. Welcome back. I'm really excited for this session. I'm really excited for both of these speakers, you guys. I've been talking them up all week. And it's just such a pleasure and such an honor to introduce you guys to Tom T. Moore. Tom T. Moore is going to be our first speaker. So let me add a spotlight and read you his bio. Tom is an award-winning author, a speaker, and is in the entertainment business, where for over 40 years, he has been the president and CEO of his own international motion picture and TV program distribution business based in Plano, Texas. Tom is the author of 7 books and was voted best self-help author for 3 years in a row by the readers of Health Magazine for his book, The Gentle Way, or rather the Gentle Way series. The Gentle Way book provides a simple yet powerful tool for everyday use that is a giant step forward from the law of attraction and includes hundreds of stories. So many people, I myself have written in stories of these MBO prayers and how well and beautifully they work. And he has a beautiful newsletter as well, in which you can read all of these beautiful stories. And so it's such a simple modality that is absolutely life-changing. And what's beautiful is you can put it to use right away and see results right away. So welcome, Tom. It's such an honor to have you here. It really is.
Thank you. I don't need to say anything else.
That's it. I mean, it's genuinely your body of work, what you've birthed, what you continue to bring forward is such a gift to humanity. It really is, not just in this lifetime, as we'll probably get into a little bit as we talk about. But it really is genuinely an honor to have you here. I've been using MBOs for 4+ years. I've been reading your newsletters. They have offered me even though I know it's been tough lately, but they've offered me so much hope and so much understanding around our history, around our interdimensional family, and really just understanding what it is that we're doing here. And so I'm just infinitely grateful for you. Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah. So Tom has got a presentation for us. He's going to share with you guys more information on the MBO prayer method, and maybe if we have some time at the end, we can talk a little bit about all the other amazing things that he does and brings through.
Okay.
Awesome. I'll let you take it away.
Very good. So you'll be with me, or will I be full screen?
Yeah, if you want to share, because I know you were wanting to share. I don't know if you want to go right into your presentation or if you want to talk a little bit first.
Okay. I'll talk a little bit.
Yeah.
I'll just give everyone just a little history. Um, I've I had tried the law of attraction modality and found that it just wasn't working very well. So I kept searching. And then one day in the Sedona Journal of Emergence, which is what, see if I can get it where it doesn't get blurred. There we go. So anyway, there was an article by Robert Shapiro, and he was channeling a creator being by the name of Zosh that was sort of like an intern to our creator. And Zosh said at that time, he said, "You can request benevolent outcomes." It was just one sentence, but it was really it rang a bell with me. Okay, so I said, I think I'm going to test that out. So I started testing it out. Didn't really know what I was doing, but I started saying out loud, I request, a benevolent outcome. And I was amazed. It worked absolutely perfectly with what I was to learn was my soul contract. I did not know at that time how it worked. I just knew it worked. It was the best thing I'd ever found. So as time went on, um, I started writing a couple of articles for the Sedona Journal of Emergence, and eventually I even became a columnist. And just recently I submitted my 200th column to them. And they're made up of stories that I receive each month from all over the world from people that are practicing the gentle way. So let's see if I can get into this just a little bit more. And whoops. Mhm.
I've
There we
shared.
go.
Yeah, awesome.
Okay. I don't know why it wasn't working, but okay. Uh, I, uh, my wife and I went to a uh, a workshop in Sedona, Arizona, put on by Dick Sutphen, Sutphen, and he had a seminar called Increasing Your Psychic Abilities. And so on about the second day that we were there, he was putting us under into a light alternate reality or uh, and and so we were supposed to do automatic writing, but instead I decided to contact a an Indian shaman that Robert Shapiro had channeled for me, and I'd asked the Indian shaman, was I supposed to be supporting Robert's work, and I was told no, and I thought that was kind of strange. So during the session, I said, reveals the mysteries. Are you there? And he said, yes, I am, Tom. I said, wow, this is really great. And so he said, Tom, he said, you're supposed to spread the word about Gentle Way. And he gave me the name of the book the very first time I ever spoke to him. And he said, you're going to write books. And I said, no, no, no. I'm a business guy. I was planning to just be in international film distribution until I retired. But he said, no, books. So I wrote the very first book, The Gentle Way, which is the one that you see on the left-hand side of your screen, thinking that I would never be able to write another book. And here I am, 7 books down, with the seventh book coming out later this year called Conversations with Gaia, um, Soul of the Earth. So, uh, in the first book, um, I explained how I used the gentle way in both my professional and private lives. And in but when I got into prayers for other people, I was calling them living prayers. And in the second book, The Gentle Way 2, I condensed all that to where everyone could say just one phrase, which I'll get into. So, requesting most benevolent comes, MBOs, as I abbreviate. Webster Dictionary definition, benevolent, doing or inclined to do good, finely and charitable. Most benevolent outcome request. I request a most benevolent outcome for, thank you. And you fill it in. And I suggest that you try mundane things first. But here are some rules. Okay. See if I can move that. Oh, there we go. Um, you must request the assistance. Okay. That's that's the very first rule. It must be benevolent, not only for you, but everyone connected with the request. You must say it out loud. Okay. And as an example, if a soldier was say, I request a benevolent outcome to kill my enemy before he kills me, that's not going to work. But if he says, I request a benevolent outcome to come back from this patrol safely with all my friends, that works. So that way, his quote enemy is off doing something else. It must be a request for you specifically. Okay, that's what MBOs are for, and we'll get in uh, for other people shortly. So it has to be a request for you specifically, and it must be said out loud or in writing. Okay. I didn't quite, I just kind of fell into saying them out loud. I really didn't know that was what I was supposed to do, but I did. And it turns out that this is a form of prayer, but as I said, I didn't know how it worked. And certainly it doesn't sound like a prayer. If you can imagine, there are a lot of people that have gone away from organized religions for one reason or another, but they like saying MBOs. And so all you have to say is I request a most benevolent outcome for, my drive to work, or getting a parking space in front of a busy restaurant or the grocery store. Mundane things where you get immediate feedback. And then there is no limit to the number of times you can request benevolent outcomes. I imagine that there's this big stack of forms sitting on my desk, and I'll request a benevolent outcome, tear it off, but the stack of forms never goes down. So, and you can even request the same one multiple times because you are not penalized, because we're humans, and even I still to this day every once in a while will also request the same benevolent outcome. But my guardian angel Theo says you don't have to. Um, it's but if you do request it, monopoly many times, there we go, lost that word, then you're not penalized for it. So, multiple times, yes. Trust in the process. Start with the mundane to build your trust and to make it habit. Okay. So, samples of MBO requests. Now, the top three are long-term type requests. So you can say, I request a most benevolent outcome for the perfect job for me. Thank you. Okay. But there's this time that has to go past. Maybe the job that you want is filled right now by someone that has to be promoted, or maybe they change jobs, or maybe they move out of the area. So these are things that you have to be patient on. And the second one, perfect mate. You can say, I request a most benevolent outcome for the perfect mate for you, for me. But keep in mind, that perfect mate may be in another relationship, or maybe you need a, a relationship, um, to go through a relationship to prepare you for that perfect one. So these are things that you have to be patient. I've had ladies in the past that have emailed and said, Tom, I've requested a MBO for the perfect mate. It's been a month and I haven't seen anything yet. So be patient. And then for the perfect home, you can request, say, I request the most benevolent outcome for the perfect home for me, or the perfect place to live. Maybe you're trying to decide whether to move from the West Coast, or maybe you're trying to decide on just another city to live in. And by requesting this benevolent outcome, you will be guided to that perfect home or the perfect place for you to live. Okay, so that's uh, those are all ones that you have to be patient on. Now, you can request a benevolent outcome for identity theft. You can say, I request a most benevolent outcome for my identity in all its forms to be to be protected both now and forever. Okay. So traveling, um, when you're traveling, driving to work, to the airport, security, any form of travel you do, you can request a benevolent outcome for. And I guarantee it has saved my life at times, because Uh, it's dangerous out there to travel. So keep that in mind. When you want to travel, you request a benevolent outcome for your drive to the airport. You request a most benevolent outcome for a great parking space if you're going to stay, or to be let off right by the door if someone is taking you there. And when you get inside, a benevolent outcome for check-in to be very fast and a check-in in security through security. I had a guy, and this was fairly some years ago, and he wrote to me and he said, Tom, he said, I got in the security line, and so I had requested a benevolent outcome to get through the security line fast. And just as I got up to the place where they would assign me to an aisle, they opened up a brand new aisle, and I was the very first person to go through that security line. So you can request benevolent outcomes even to get through security. So, and you can request uh, benevolent outcomes for business each day. Okay. All right. So it can be a regular job, or it can be something like real estate. If you're a real estate broker or agent for requesting benevolent outcomes for your business, or it can be that you're a server in a restaurant. And I've had several servers that have told me that they request benevolent outcomes every day, and they typically get the best gratuities in the restaurant. So keep that in mind. Any form that you can do for your business, you can request benevolent outcomes for. At work and for meetings and even abuse. So if you're going to have a meeting with your boss or or you're conducting the meeting with other people in your office, you can request a benevolent outcome so that the meeting will be even better than you can hope or expect. And if you're having to tell your boss about abuse, or even you may have to go outside the business to report the abuse. You can request a benevolent outcome when you have to report abuse, because no one should be abused verbally or sexually, physically in any form or manner. And then I even have a chapter in that first book on games of chance. Um, Bingo, uh, I've had fairly good luck on, and there have been other people that have even better. But my family and I were on um, we were on a cruise of the Caribbean, and on the last day of the cruise, they had a cover all on bingo, and so I and my two children, my wife wanted to take a nap, and we went to play bingo. And I requested a benevolent outcome. And so on the last coverall, I didn't think I was doing very good, wasn't doing very good. And suddenly I got bang, 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 all just in a row, one after another. And I yelled bingo. And the kid, a kid from another family sitting next to me yelled bingo too. This is this is what's called the radiant effect, which I'll cover in a minute. And we split an $8,400 pot, which because the ship had a problem with a flooded uh, gangway in another part of the ship, they offered everybody half price on their cruise the next year. And so we got to go at half price and use the money we won from bingo to go on a second cruise. So as you can see, there are all sorts. And finally, the last one I have listed here is the dangerous places and times. Um, I've I personally experienced where there was a huge wall cloud with a rotation, which normally means there are going to be tornadoes dropping out of the wall cloud. And this one uh, kept coming closer and closer to us. It started way about probably 30 miles away and had gotten to the point where on the TV they were announcing that it had hit Independence, which is Boulevard, probably only about 4, 5, 6 blocks from us. And so both my wife and I were requesting benevolent outcomes for our safety in the house, safety of our house and everything. And it diffused, it broke apart within 2 minutes. And another lady, which I believe is in my first book, uh, had moved to a farm in Kansas, and one day there was a tornado heading right for them, and she grabbed the kids, ran for the basement, requested a benevolent outcome, and the tornado lifted up and went right over their house. So if you're in a dangerous situation, there was a girl in California, and she was walking down the street, the sidewalk, and some guys in a van started following her, and so she requested a benevolent outcome. And just then, a number of people came outside a house, and the van drove away. And her mother told me, she said, "I know that benevolent outcome saved her life." So there you go. There's all sorts of things you can use benevolent outcomes. That radiant effect, when you're driving to work and you've requested a radiant effect, it's like a bubble around you, and a bubble that affects the other people in the other cars, but also the people in your car. So there is a radiant effect from requesting these benevolent outcomes. So benevolent prayers, what do you say for other people? And here, um, you you change it up and you say, I ask any and all beings to thank you. Okay. So, in other words, it can be something like, I ask any and all beings to aid and assist in the victims of an earthquake to be found and saved. And it could be a dog that does it, or it could be a bird. I mean, you never know how people are saved, but by saying that, and the more people that say the exact same um, prayer together, it has a crescendo effect. And it's like, if it's only 100 people, suddenly it's like 1,000 people that have said exactly the same prayers. So it becomes a very, very beautiful, magnificent uh, prayer that everyone can say together. I'm told that someday in the future, I'll lead 1 million people in requesting peace on earth. I don't know how that's ever going to happen. Better sooner than later, but that's what I've been told. So the origin of the gentle way was really 12,500 to 12,700 years ago. Um, let's see if I can do this. And I have a book on this. It's called, I wonder why I can't get that. It gets blurry. I'm sure I'm called
Okay.
Atlantis and Lemuria, the Lost Continents Revealed. And uh, one day I was asking, because I'd been told by Reveals the Mysteries that the Gentle Way was very, very old. And so one day I asked my guardian angel Theo, well, how old is the Gentle Way? I thought maybe 3,000 years. And he said, "Oh, Tom, it dates all the way back to your life during the Atlantean times when you were inspired uh, to invent or uh, the gentle way, and you had over 1 million people following you, and eventually you and 25,000 of your followers um, migrated to Egypt because you were told by ETs that that Atlantis was going, the Atlanteans were going to destroy themselves. And so we moved somewhere around 100 or 200 years before the Atlanteans destroyed themselves using ray guns that would melt the ground underneath their feet. So if you ever want to read, how Atlantis and Lemuria destroyed themselves, that's the book that where I've got a lot of answers to your questions and where the continents were located and uh, why there's no records of them and so on. So a lot of things that you'll find of interest there. Whoops. I don't know why it does that. Sorry, folks.
Technology. We've been trying to work in harmony all week long with our technology.
Yes, and I'm sure.
There we go. Get share screen.
Okay, there. Huh. Don't know if I want to do this again, but anyway. So uh, when you start to work on actually meditating yourself, please understand that every single person can do exactly what I'm doing because everyone has the pineal gland in the back of your heads that acts as an antenna for all types of telepathic uh, things that are called thought packets. That's what I receive, and telepathic images and feelings. They have tons of names, uh, farsight, etc. But it all comes through your pineal gland. And the scientists have not been able uh, to figure that out yet. They only know that the pineal gland secretes melatonin. Okay, so but you've got the word before they do. Okay, guardian angels. These are whole souls. Now, what does whole souls mean? Um, these are very, very old souls. I mean, probably several million years old. They've slowly but surely raised their vibrational level to the point where they glow a golden light and they're known as golden light beings. There are a little more than 1 million golden light beings that we call guardian angels. They prefer the term servants of the Creator. And the Creator asked for these old whole souls to uh, to come look after us because we had agreed to have these lives blocked from knowing that we came from thousands of planets and we'd had thousands of lives before we ever came here because we had to have raised our vibrational levels to the point where we could handle very, very, very stressful lives, which is why they're so short on Earth. But we volunteered, our souls volunteered, and they split off about, on average, 6 to 12 um, uh, fragments per soul to have lives on Earth. and each one of those lives uh, have 600 to 800 lives on average. Okay. Not only that, but each one of those of our soul fragments, each life has 12 parallel lives, or and they're known as timelines. And so there at birth, there were 12 of you that were born at the same minute, but after that, our lives diverge according to the frequency. Uh, the, the higher frequencies have easier lives and the lower ones have harder lives. We're on timeline 6, and so as an example, the upper timelines, the Vietnam War did not happen. They settled, but we had to fight. We had the war. So the 12 timelines are divided into fours, 1 to 4, 5 to 8, 9 to 12, then subdivided into twos, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So again, we're sort of coupled with timeline five, but at times our timeline will join with seven in order to get a higher frame of reference. And so that's where we sit. So request benevolent outcomes today. Now, I have a daily affirmation which you can find on my website. The website is www.thegentlewaybook.com. Okay. And you can click on articles. Let's see, you can click on science, and you can find this to say. And here's a very important one that works really great. I expect great things today. I expect great things tomorrow, and I expect great things all this week. Thank you. Now, Theo, my guardian angel, tells me this allows your guardian angel to um, to come up with things that you'd never think to ask for, bringing good things into your life. So that's I say this every single morning, and this may be the most important one to say. It's also on that science tab on the website. I ask that any and all beings assist and comfort anyone that I have ever harmed, either physically, mentally, morally, spiritually, or emotionally, in any past, present, or future life. And I ask any and all beings to assist and comfort the families and friends of anyone that I've ever harmed in any way, in any past, present, or future life. Thank you. Now, Theo tells me this is a really, really important one. He's told me that I'm on my 1005th life because my soul uh, chose to have me have a lot of lives. And he said, this is the very first life that you've ever come up with this prayer. And he says, it's because we're having all of these 600, 800 lives, however many you have, that are all going on at the very same time. And so when you say this, you're affecting your life that's going on a particular day that you say this. So it's something that you're helping all of your lives on earth when you say this every single morning, as I now do. So I highly recommend that you say this. Okay. So, and now the big thing, I I have two things that we put out every single week. I have a blog where people send me these great stories of using the gentle way from all over the world. And each week I will uh, list four or five or three or four, however many I receive that week, and and I'll put it in a blog, and they come from all over the world. And then once a month, I gather them up and I send them in to the Sedona Journal of Emergence, and they choose a few to print in their magazine each month. So you might get printed in the Sedona Journal. I only use first names, so keep that in mind for your benefit. Um, and I do have a newsletter, and um, I've put out 900 free newsletters so far. It's my gift to the world. I don't charge for this. You can go to thegentlewaybook.com, and on the very first page, there's a little box where you can put your email address, your name, click on it. It'll sign you up, and then you'll get a little email saying, is this you? Did you really sign up? And you say yes. And there you are. You'll get my free newsletter each week. This week, um, it was it was a little longer than normal. It was 13 word pages before I ever started inserting uh, uh, images. So I tried to do 10 or 11 pages each week, but this one went long. So check check in, and you can go to articles and news, and where all these 900 newsletters are listed, and you can start from the newest one and work backwards if you have time to read. Blog. Okay. We have a little time left in case, let me see if I can stop the share. Oh, there we are. So, if anyone has any questions, or I'll,
Yeah, if you guys have any questions for anything he shared, please drop it in the chat. Um, I must say that the newsletter has so much information in it. It goes into so greater detail, and you may have to use the search engine within the newsletter to find what it is that you're looking for. If you want more information on the 12 timelines, if you want more information on the soul fragments, understanding how your soul potentially fragmented. Uh, for me, it was 12. I tuned in and I've gotten to connect with those fragments since I've learned of that, and understanding how many lifetimes we weave. The amount of information he has on there, it's about our history. It's about what I really love is getting to hear things like soul contract stuff. Understanding soul contracts has been really helpful for me. Understanding, for example, I mentioned earlier today, we were talking about being perfect, whole, and healed. That was what we were working with in this morning's session. And I'd shared with them, though, people could be experiencing disabilities or sicknesses or illnesses that might be part of their soul contract to experience in this lifetime.
mhm.
So yeah, the amount of information that you find on there's information about, Jesus, Yeshua, the past history, and there's information about our interdimensional extraterrestrial star family and open contact. It's pretty vast and wide in the different interests that you'll find there.
Right. And the nice thing about being able to work on these meditations is that um, you can talk to any being in the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And as an example, I talk to Creator now, and Creator tells me, Tom, tell everyone that I can have trillions of conversations going on all at the same time. So if you wish to communicate with me, just say, I wish to speak to Creator, and he said, I'll be instantly there. And I've talked to Jesus, and he his job now is to go throughout the universe, spreading love all throughout the universe. That's the job creator gave you. So there's so much to learn. I'm at the tip of the iceberg, and I've asked over 30,000 questions. These questions come into me from people from all over uh, the earth, and I'll be happy to try and answer your questions. But go to the website and articles and put a search term in there first
Mhm.
to see if I've already asked the question for someone else.
Mhm. Yeah, that's the beauty of his newsletter, you guys. You can write, and not only does he openly and willingly accept all of your beautiful MBO stories, the little mini miracles that we create in our lives, but he also is open to receiving questions, and that's what he does. We are all telepaths, but he has cultivated this skill over many, many, many years and is telepathically communicates to creator, to Gaia, which is the next book coming out. He's got a book all about pets, understanding that, which I really love, that the gentle way
Um,
with pets.
there's
He's
pets that doesn't wear out.
communicated with these different, and what I love, so animals are a group soul, and so he communicates to the all. He
Right.
communicates to the group soul of dog, of
Yeah.
cat,
There's
of
one soul that ensouls every single dog on earth in all 12 timelines. And that's really amazing. And there's one soul I call cat soul that ensouls every single domesticated and feral cat on Earth. And I said, well, what about lions and tigers and such? Well, those are other feline souls, and we like to spread the work. So that's how I was told on that.
Yeah, I want to
So
share one thing. Alondra shared a beautiful MBO that with me, and she shared it in the chat as well. But she had a car, her and her family had a car accident, and she had just learned about MBOs. And she said one, and their car was not damaged. They were completely and divinely protected after getting rear-ended just
wow.
this last week, and she just
Oh,
learned about your MBOs. So that was a beautiful story. And then I also, Paul asked what I wanted to mention and bring forward. Paul says, regards to you, Tom, and to you, Antura, as well. Any news on the timeline for your big project? You've been very patient waiting for the kickoff. Excited too.
I mean, he's talking about our visit uh, to my buddy Antura's starship,
Yep.
and that we're supposed. That's why I'm in the international film distribution business. I had to learn it in order to prepare because my family are going to shoot a whole series of documentaries there. But I keep being told it's going to be very soon. So we'll see. You know, I'm trying to be as patient as possible, but there are times that you can read in the newsletter, well, you better hurry. Things like that. So, um, and so one thing before we go, I want to mention anyone that wants to start trying to contact your own guardian angel. There's a an audio you can buy on Amazon called and it's by Dick Sutphen, Sutphen, Dick Sutphen's Spirit Guides. It's great for beginners. I don't make any money off of the recommendation. It's just he safely takes you down into this alternate state and surrounds you with a bubble of white light and then is quiet so you can ask your own questions and then he brings you back. So it's great. You can play it as many times as you want. It's very inexpensive to buy if you want to check it out.
Fantastic. Uh, you guys, again, if we really, we would need days to go into the depth of wisdom and the amount of information and experiences and really interesting, fun ones too, right? That this
Yep.
man has had. And so check out, we put all the links in the chat. Go sign up for his newsletter. I mean, the very first time you start reading the newsletter, you probably, Paul, you were probably like me, where you were just like, what is this? And you just start diving in and searching and just eating it up, consuming
It
it.
gets
And it's just,
deeper and deeper the
yeah,
way you
it's
go.
so good. It's so, so good. And again, write in, share his MBOs with you, try them out, try things that are easy and small. You guys, I shared with him that one MBO I'll share with you. There was a speaker that I'd reached out to 3 or 4 times. It had been weeks and I had not yet heard back from him. Tom and I had a phone call and I was like, MBO, of course. So I said an MBO and I heard back from the speaker an hour later. It was Neil Gar, who we've already heard from. And Neil was like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm honored. Thank you. It was just such a beautiful message. Not only did he responded and just so in kind and enthusiastic about his participation. So yeah, if you guys lose things, I know you didn't say that one on the list, Tom, but I'm pretty sure every time I lose something, if I don't say an MBO, I'm probably not going to find it.
Yeah.
I,
And as an example, I would misplace my glasses quite often. And so I'd request a benevolent outcome to find my glasses. Well, finally I said, I requested most benevolent outcome to never lose my glasses again. And it works.
Awesome. I love that. And that's the beauty, guys. I know somebody else had said she had asked about requesting for a perfect mate while in a marriage. And I was like, well, why wouldn't you just request for the perfect marriage? Your MBOs are only limited by your own creativity. Let's
That's
just say
true.
that. As
The
creative
more
as
you
you
use
want to
them,
be.
the more things you think to use them for.
Absolutely. And another thing that I will share that I remember you sharing, not here today, but every single time we do an MBO, we receive it's like receiving a influx of light love. We receive like a little energy boost as well. So
Yeah.
the more you say these,
A little
it
kiss from your guardian angel.
yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. Awesome. Tom, once again, thank you so, so, so incredibly much. Such an honor to have you here. And thank you for sharing of MBOs. Again, you guys, these speakers are the people that I've been following and the tools that have been transformational in my own life. And so I'm thrilled that some of you have learned about MBOs and learned about Tom's work. And I'm thrilled to hear and see people like Paul who are like me, super fans over here.
Yes.
Tom or Paul, we can also say prayers for a most benevolent, well, not the MBO specifically, but we can say for Tom to get on that ship sooner than later. I
Thank
don't know
you.
about you, but I've been doing that.
Yeah. Thank you. And thanks for having me. I do send everybody white light and love and lots of benevolent outcomes in your life.
Thank you, Tom. Such a pleasure. I'm wishing you a beautiful day. Thank you, guys. So much love being poured into you in the chat. Everyone was really, really enjoyed this conversation. Lots of thank you. Just thank you for this session. Thank you. So thank you, Tom. Appreciate you. Love you. Bye. Awesome. Beautiful. Yay. You guys, I hope Paul wants to join you on the ship too. Take us all. Let's go.
So how do we do on numbers?
Everything's perfect. We're going to bring Dr. Summer Nicole up now. She's going to speak now right after you. And I think she's arrived. So let me see. Bring up her spotlight. I'm going to remove my spotlight. And there you are. Yay. Oh, you already spotlighted her, Alondra. Thank you. You're amazing. Oh, we're both, we're on it. Awesome. Oh, welcome. It's so good to see you. Hi.
Hi. Yeah, thank you so much for the invitation.
Oh man, it is my pleasure. It is our pleasure. It really is. I'm so thrilled to have you here. I will read your bio just to give people a little taste as to who you are and what you're about. But yeah, I'll read the bio first. Yeah. So Dr. Summer Nicole has over 20 years of experience in somatic therapy, yoga, and specializes in somatic movement, reparenting, and nervous system regulation. She is a safe and sound protocol provider through Dr. Steven, and that protocol increases nervous system capacity and helps the body establish physiological safety. Summer is a doctor of physical therapy, cranial sacral therapist, somato-emotional release practitioner, Reiki master teacher, Kundalini yoga, meditation, yoga and meditation, and an S Factor teacher, and also low pressure fitness instructor. She is passionate about weaving physical, emotional, and energetic modalities to reverse the effects of trauma. And you guys, your body of work, Dr. Summer, genuinely is, it was the missing piece for me. It was the missing piece for me. I was trying to do it all in the mind. And it was, for me, I thought it was the belief work and the spiritual and even the emotional. And when Jolie Dawn years ago, when I first heard you speak at her event, that is what set me on my journey of exploring somatics and understanding the body, studying the nervous system, Dr. Stephen Porges' work. I mean, I wanted to just devour it all because I knew that was not only the missing piece for me, but for us all.
Totally.
So yeah,
like the umbrella of all of it, the nervous system.
Yeah, thank you so much for your own journey and your own exploration and everything that you have undergone to get where you are today. And thank you so much for, again, sharing your body of work. And it's just such a pleasure and an honor to bring you here because so much of our conversation is around safety, cultivating safety.
I love that.
Yeah. So I would love to hear a little, I guess, yeah, your personal journey. We call these divine mirror sessions because there's something so beautiful about getting to witness ourselves and one another. And what I know to be true is oftentimes the work that we birth and we create is often comes from our own pain or our own, self-discovery process. And so would love to hear from you. What was your journey like, and what really led you from Dr. Summer Nicole into the somatics and the nervous system and everything that you offer and share today?
We teach what we need.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I had, been in the healing and therapy world for over 20 years, but then like really it was for me during my second divorce, trauma bonded, codependent, anxious avoidant trap, trying to unwind all of that was very traumatic. And I just had to get very real with like healing this little girl inside of me that felt abandoned and rejected and betrayed. And it was so intense. And it was the freeze response in the nervous system. And I would go into these like fetal positions, just full anxiety and terror, just running through my system and not knowing like what was happening to me. And knowing like I'd studied neuroscience, like in my doctor of physical therapy degree, like I studied neuroscience, but nothing was practical of like, what do I do with myself when I'm triggered? I didn't know what to do with myself. And I kept being re-traumatized. I kept throwing myself into re-traumatizing dynamics, not understanding what was happening. And it was just like this full hot, like master class of just like unraveling codependency and like, moving towards secure attachment and, unwinding a trauma bond. It was just in deeply, I needed to know how to unfreeze my nervous system is how this work was really birthed for me. And when I started to go down the rabbit hole of polyvagal theory and Dr. Stephen Porges, I found the Safe and Sound protocol. And this protocol is so epic. I've done it once a year the last 3 years. It's worked so good for every client I've given it to. It's a listening protocol that is for the vagus nerve, and it increases capacity. It's considered a neural exercise. So it's not just about calming the system down, just listening to music. It's actually putting a progressive demand on the system. And so what it does is it expands the nervous system's capacity for stress, for the ups and downs of life,
Which is amazing. I haven't gotten to experience the Safe and Sound protocol myself, but so how many years, when did you first find that?
When I needed it, which was like
Okay.
2020. And then I was like, immediately when I saw there was a provider training, I was like, well, I'm just going to take that so that I can take myself through it. And then I just immediately started using it with clients, because it's like, if you use this alongside whatever work other work you're doing, it's going to create a baseline of physiological safety in the
Mhm.
body. So
Mhm.
then you can do all of that, like the trauma work or inner child
Mhm.
work, whatever's unresolved, without like so much overwhelm and without
Yeah.
feeling like you're going to collapse. It's going to take you over or something. You know, you have more
Yeah.
capacity to hold it, which is really what healing is about, is having more capacity. It's not that we're not going to feel like, if healing is actually about feeling more, but you have the capacity to feel more, you know.
I've recommended that protocol and sent people your direction
Thank
that
you.
yeah, absolutely. And the reason I did was because they were people that were in high disassociative states. And
Mm,
I tried to work, we were doing work together and it was a wall. It was hard. When we were trying to feel into the body or sense the inner child, they could feel nothing.
mhm.
And that was just okay, that is beyond my scope, and there's got to be something else. And then I had seen what you had shared around the safe and sound, and I was like, that's what so many of us probably need, many people probably on this call too. If you
Mm.
guys have tried somatic work and you just can't sense anything in your body, then something like the safe and sound protocol. And you said it create stress intentionally, correct?
Yeah, it's considered a neural exercise that
Okay.
progressively puts a demand on the nervous system.
Mm.
Different frequencies using filtered music, but it works specifically on this little tiny muscle in your middle ear called your stapedius that gets weakened with trauma. And so we become like those of you that are like hypersensitive, like auditorily, are just hypersensitive, it can really help to minimize that.
Which is incredible.
Yeah,
Absolutely
they
incredible.
use it. It started with kids with autism that were like had
Mm.
auditory hypersensitivity, and so they started using it for kids. Saw how good it
Mm.
worked, and then just started to create playlists for adults. And you can do it remotely with people, which is so amazing. Yeah,
That's incredible. And I love what you said too. It can work in conjunction with other therapies or practices or
yeah,
modalities, whether that be and it's really just building resilience in the nervous system.
yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm curious too, because a lot of, somatic reparenting method, right? Going into the inner child work, what was your, you mentioned the state and place that you were in. And even when you said fetal position, I immediately felt the inner child, right? I mean, that even that position in of itself, what was your first, I guess, introduction to inner child work?
Oh, it would have been like a long time ago,
Yeah.
like probably when I started studying craniosacral therapy.
Mm.
And then after the first two cranial classes is all the somato-emotional release stuff. So it's probably around then, which was like, I don't know, some before like 2010 or something like that for me. Yeah.
Wow.
So I
Okay.
probably like half-assed inner child work for like many years, until like I needed to get very real with myself, which to me, it was like I got to this moment where I was like, it doesn't matter what I say to anybody or what anyone says to me, like no one's going to be able to take away this pain that I feel. Like I
Mm.
have to feel it and I have to build the capacity to feel it because I actually feel really shut down. And so it was just like this slow process of like building capacity again and like like unfreezing my system. And S factors helped me with that immensely. I'm an S factor teacher, which is a feminine embodiment practice. It's slow, sensual, like non-linear movement. And it's just helped literally like unwind the physical rigidity and like the pelvis and the spine that happens
Mhm.
from, a chronically dysregulated state.
Yeah, and I love that you're bringing that forward too. All the pelvic, I forget the name of it. The pelvic, like pelvic floor therapy.
Oh, low pressure fitness.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
it's hypopressive training. Yeah, low pressure training. Yeah.
which is also to support the pelvic area and pelvic floor. Correct.
Totally. It lifts up the organs basically and gets you to expand in your rib cage and not so much your belly. And so it corrects your posture, it helps your respiratory system, it restores like pelvic floor and deep core function. I've been doing it for like I think 6 or 7 years now, and I
Yeah.
still do it like a couple times a week because it's so helpful. And then like, yeah, if I've like been coughing a lot or something that's added a lot of pressure, like I can go to this practice and like reverse those symptoms in my body. So
Mm.
it just feels very like preventative and stretches myofascial tissue. It's just so good. It's really rehabilitative movement. Just learning how to breathe and hold your posture and use your diaphragm in a different way.
Mm. Can you speak into, for those that might not be as familiar with the nervous system or pelvic floor, the importance of the pelvic floor or even vagus nerve? Is there anything? Oh, the therapy. Yeah,
You're talking about, I think he's asking about low pressure fitness,
I
but,
think
or it's
so.
hyperpressive training, you could say.
Yeah. And I can pull it from your, yeah. Yeah, as for any, yeah, again, if anyone, for anyone who maybe not, maybe isn't as versed in the nervous system or even the, again, the importance of the pelvic floor, is there anything you can speak into in that? Because I think a lot of people here are probably
Yeah.
really new to that.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure. What's really interesting is that, well, the vagus nerve, which starts in your cranium, it's a cranial nerve. It's the longest nerve and comes all the way down and has branches all the way into the cervix for women. And so and it's our relaxation response is that, but yeah, the pelvic floor is very much connected to if our relaxation response is on or not. And if you just think about your pelvic floor, the root chakra, right, that is all about safety and trust. And so when there's a lot of pressure built in from a tight diaphragm, tight abdominal, solar plexus, right, just all this stress and a shallow breath pattern, it like really puts pressure into the organs, and then that puts a downward force on the pelvic floor. So now you have this downward force, and then the pelvic floor has to contract to hold it there. And it becomes really tight and tense all the time, and it's not functioning properly. And the emotions that usually go along with that is like instability, overwhelm, mistrust. I don't feel safe. So it's very connected, just physiologically, emotionally, physically.
Yeah, all holistically impacting us at
Yeah,
every
it's like
level.
how it lands. That's why
Yeah.
pressures help me understand like how trauma lands in the body. Like I connected that piece, but I got understood the breath and what was
Mhm.
happening, and then I was like, oh, but why is the diaphragm tight or the shallow breath pattern? And then it's like, oh, because the nervous system's dysregulated. Why is that? There's some sort of unresolved trauma. So it's like that's the part that I connected, and then it's just like, oh, this is literally just how to change your breath and postural habits so that you're literally like decreasing pressure. It's like you're counterbalancing all the pressure and stress of life essentially.
What I love, I was just thinking about again, you kind of coming from the place of the mind. And now, I mean, you are just fully in the body. I mean, even all of the modalities and things that you practice, Kundalini in and of itself, for me, that was a nervous system regulation tool, in a way. Not all of it, but it was really supportive for me and just clearing and moving energy. And yeah, so you kind of, I know you went into the Kundalini space and then into the nervous system, and then it's just evolved into now the S factor, which is so yummy, so incredibly yummy.
So good.
Yeah. So, and what I love about S Factor and some of the movements that we've done here is the spirals. And again, it's getting into that lower part of the body too.
Yeah.
And what I love about spirals, it's the all of reality, all energy is actually spiraling. Even us, we are, the planet Earth is spiraling. We're not just moving. So yeah, when we spiral, it helps us tap into that like organic flow of the universe.
So good.
Yeah.
Circles, spirals, waves. Yes.
Mm-hmm,
Move like a
mm-hmm.
snake. Like it's
The
all really good
spine.
for you. Yeah. It's all really activating. Yeah. It'll help you run your energy, your life force energy, which is inherently erotic.
Yeah, absolutely. S Factor. Is it a women's only practice?
I mean, essentially, it's made for women.
Okay.
Essentially it is. But I know that Sheila Kelly, the creator of it, has had classes with men.
I
Yeah.
really, I want to see more men getting into their body in that way. Like the
I teach it to my male clients and they
you
love
do.
it. And like in my group, or like even in, yeah, sometimes we'll do it like and before we listen to the SSP and like their group calls and those, and
Nice.
like drop some fun music and just get into the rib cage and the pelvis and then just like spinal waves and just primal play and then you got your energy going. And
I
then you
just,
can sit and
yeah.
listen.
And I just had a memory come, and I think it was you. Have you made posts and talked about getting body drunk? I don't know if that's the exact terminology,
Probably.
but I feel like you
Yeah.
have. And I remember watching this, I just had this like flash in memory of like this video of you just like getting eyes closed, just getting into the body. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's what it really is this body drunk. It's where it's just this yummy, intuitive movement where you kind of get lost in your own movement sauce. And it's just so good.
So good.
It
Yeah,
really
it's so
is.
good.
And I
So
love
you're just
to,
sort of led. Your body's
mhm,
literally just leading. Your pleasure is just leading. Like you're not thinking.
which I think is why I like it so much, is
Totally.
exactly that, right? Those are
Yeah.
the times when we get out of our mind and into the body.
Yeah. Even just like those of you that are sitting there listening, just to like take your rib cage back, like really slow and like just your ribs to the left, super slow and just deep breaths. And this just from your rib cage, like come front, just as you're listening to us talk, and just like see what your neck wants to do, just inviting, giving you all permission to move. You don't have to be
Right.
statues while you're here, but maybe go each direction just super slow. It's like something about getting into the rib cage and then like you just let your neck sort of linger in any little like pleasurable
Mm.
stretch or sensation. And if your body wants to make sounds or honestly, sounds are just so good, whether it's just a grunt or a groan or a
Mm.
sigh like whatever your internal emotional experience is, just try to connect to what that sound would be. How would you
Mm.
express it?
I like that. Allowing the emotion or just the sensations in your body to come out in a sound. Ooh.
Mhm. And then you become congruent. So, like, you
Mm.
match your internal experience with your external expression, which is when people are very dysregulated or traumatized, that doesn't happen. There's a lot of incongruency.
Yeah. So, trauma. I know that word can even, there was someone earlier, it can be triggering. Even the word trauma is triggering. Isn't that wild?
Yeah,
For so many, and I'm sure many of us have friends, family, loved ones that are like, nope, I'm not traumatized. I haven't been traumatized. I experienced a really good life. I had great parents, and they're loving and they're kind, and they weren't perfect, but
totally.
so yeah, I would love to, maybe we can talk into that a little bit, because I think that there's something, I think it's important for us to recognize, and one, not be scared of the T word, big T, little T, whichever T it is, not be afraid of saying that we have and trauma, or we've experienced. And even what I love too, that was another thing that you taught me. Trauma is not the experience, it's how it's stored in the body, or it's the reaction, if I'm saying that accurate, the experience that's stored in the body, or the reaction to our body. Did I
Yeah,
butcher that?
it's an incomplete nervous system response.
Hmm.
Hmm.
An incomplete nervous system response.
Hmm. Like if a young kid didn't get to fight back or run away, it's an incomplete nervous system response. And I will say, I'm happy to talk about trauma healing, but I can tell you my own even like messaging, and I can feel my language begin to change from trauma healing to
Mm.
I'm kind of obsessed with this word aliveness right now. It's like
Ooh.
activating aliveness. And you think about it, it's like the opposite of is like survival mode. It's like the opposite of that is aliveness. So how can I activate my aliveness, my life force energy? That might come with, needing to release some repressed emotions, and it's certainly going to come with like movement of your body, you know? Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
interesting. Do you feel that shift is a direct correlation to your own personal experience and where you are in your journey, having, navigated the trauma space, nervous system regulation, and doing that work for so long. And it's like, okay, what feels and this feels more alive. No pun intended, honestly.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it
Yeah.
mirrors my personal journey for sure. It's just like, where do I feel aliveness? Where can I get energy behind? Like, because I've even gotten to a place where I'm like, oh, I don't really want to talk about like codependency and attachment repair anymore. Like, I kind of just want to talk about activating life force energy and how to run your erotic energy in your body and to be creative and the most regulated, like vital person, that you can be. And so it's like, I feel like all of the work that the last 5 years I've been putting out it is a very important part of the journey. I feel
Yeah.
like that, yeah, the developmental trauma work and the nervous
Mhm.
system work, it's just needed, like to move the needle. Like
Mhm.
it just is. Neither somatic therapy, reparenting, and the nervous system, that it can't be missed when it comes to really wanting to feel sustainable, palpable change in your body and the way that you feel and can respond to life and um, how you are in connection and intimacy, right? Like your capacity, just how wide can you get before you become overwhelmed?
Yeah. So, outside of the S factor, tell us more then, if that's what's lighting you up right now, the aliveness and how to cultivate and generate, then tell me more. Tell us more about how one can do that and what that means to
About
you.
how, what's that?
I said, or and perhaps even what that means to you. What does it mean to cultivate that aliveness, and how can one embody more aliveness in their everyday?
Yeah, it literally has everything to do with your breath and your body. Like, and being, how do you run your life force through your body and how do you move energy through your body like pretty consistently? I feel like activating your aliveness is about like just becoming a master of your own energy. And so it's like it's just
Mhm.
a different way to talk about things. Like
Mhm.
I could talk about codependency, or I could just talk about like how can you learn to draw all of your energy back into yourself? It's like it's just like a different way to say something, I feel
Mhm.
like.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Which I love because we were talking earlier about, just the healing journey and the pain body, and even how our soul tends to fragment out in this kind of reclamation of wholeness that really, and really first also understanding that we're already innately whole. There's an aspect of us outside of this human experience that is our true divinity and who and what we are. And we're simultaneously having this human experience, and we've had a lot of painful things happen to ourselves, to our ancestors. And it's like, it's just natural,
Yeah.
part of the human journey. And I just love that we're bringing it back to the body, and that we're really understanding that healing is in and through the body. It is our technology. It is the most sacred vehicle in which we're traveling and traversing. And even did you see the study that came out? I think it was last year. It was also an image that was going out everywhere talking about depression and the different therapies for depression. And the number one effective therapy for depression over, SSRIs and working out, breath work, yoga, all of the things was dancing. Dancing, number one, blew every other. I mean, it was actually kind of a little heartbreaking. You saw SSRIs by itself, the change was nominal. Like, in other words, you may not even don't even take them, it's not going to make a
Yeah.
difference. But then you
Yeah.
see dancing and it's like just dancing alone was curing
Yeah.
people's depression.
They say the opposite of depression is expression, right? So
Mm.
how do you want to express, and what part of you, it's just can be, and this is why I love S Factor, it's just like the best somatic therapy because we're just embodying different erotic creatures. There's 10 of them in S Factor and they each have an emotion. And so it's like you get to
Mm.
like tap in and they're just our normal human emotions that we all have, from joy to love, unconditional love to disgust to anger, like the full range. And then so getting to play out, and tap into these sort of like archetypes and like, oh, what does she feel like? What would she want to listen to? What would she want to wear? How does she want to move? Right. And so it's like this really like calling forth of like these different aspects. And so the emotional psychology of S Factor is really fun in that way.
I didn't even know that that was part of it.
Yeah,
That
it's so fun.
no wonder you gravitated towards S Factor. It makes so much sense.
Yeah.
I mean, you're giving yourself permission to feel the full range of the human experience.
Yeah, in a container, right? Of
Mhm, mhm.
women, safe. I feel like I'm in the point like 0.001% of whatever small majority that gets to experience women in their full power and their full range of expression in a totally safe space where you have what we call the feminine gaze gallery, just like watching, because we'll have a warm up and we'll do some dance together and some pole, but then each woman will get like a spotlight. And so then there's the feminine gaze gallery. So they're just you're just witnessed and reflected. And it's like, it's just so beautiful, like to
Wow.
watch the evolution, yeah, of women in their bodies, like in the power that comes forth. And it's just like, wow. Like, and then
Wow.
you know that that's there, like in every woman, you know? And so you're just like, oh, we need to keep
Wow.
sharing this, you know?
Yeah. Wow. Oh gosh, man, do I love the idea of just of witnessing and allowing ourselves to even be witnessed? Because I know even that in of itself is it's very, we have a lot of resistance. We carry a lot of resistance to being
Yeah, we don't want
witnessed.
to be seen. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's also the, you know, the freeze response, the withdrawal, the
Mm.
isolation, the disconnection. That's the freeze response. Like, don't look at me. I don't have any capacity to be seen. You don't have any capacity for connection. So yeah, the capacity for connection just really drops.
And building and cultivating safety. What I also am witnessing too is that your other work was building and cultivating safety with self.
Mhm.
Whereas the S factor is bringing this additional layer of building and cultivating safety with other, which I have been, it's key. Like that's trauma created in relationship. It would make sense that like that would be a necessary part of our healing journey.
Yeah, thanks for making that connection. Yeah, it's like I was like, if I have this thought, like if inner child work is like somatic reparenting that I created, like that's level one, then level two is reclaiming your erotic innocence.
I got chills. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just like that energy is just inherently erotic. It's all ours, like to reclaim. There's just been so much shame and conditioning and programming around it that to me now it's just like fun. We have so much fun. Like in the energy and like in then once you get into more of the advanced classes you can do energy play, right? Where you can start to play with the energy of the instead of just dancing alone. And so that's
Mm.
also a real building capacity type of exercise.
Yeah. So you're doing it with another. So even then, there's this safety, this trust, this connection. Is that what you're saying? Like you'll
Yeah,
dance with another.
just
Okay.
playing with energy. Yeah,
Yeah.
like moving. It's so much fun. It's so much fun. And every single week, we're just like, we go around and say like a word before we leave. And like most of us, like, grateful. I'm so grateful for this space. Like, it feels like such a rare gift to be inside a circle of women, like receiving these codes, watching this range, like watching the metamorphosis of like the their full like range just embody as you're like, whoa, like you feel their power. You're like, women are so insane. Like women are so powerful. It's so like I just have such this new level of respect for women just because of yeah, one, I have a really beautiful tribe of women on Kauai. And so it's yeah, really feel really grateful for that.
Oh, yeah. I was wondering if this was in person or online, and I'm curious, like how, obviously it's so much more impactful to be in person, engage in person. Does it have the same impact? Have you tried to do, I guess, S Factor online? Is that a thing? Do they do that too?
It totally, yeah,
Yeah.
there
Okay.
is the thing. Yeah, there
Okay.
is for sure. And I'll do another launch of that at some point as well.
Awesome.
And yeah, just yes, it's you can totally do it online. Like I did the teacher training online.
Okay.
A lot of the classes, yeah, of course, if you can go to a class, yes, do that.
Yeah. Because I know a lot of us, and tend to find that people that gravitate towards this container oftentimes don't really have community. A lot of them don't have family that they can connect to in that way. They may have a friend that they can have these types of conversations with, but they might be in a part of the country where this just doesn't exist. It's not an option. S factor in person, or even that level of safety within a community isn't maybe an option. So yeah, I think it's so incredibly important. I love that it's something that can still be done online.
Mhm. Totally. Yeah. Anytime you can just drop into, you don't need anything for it. You just
Mhm.
honestly just, there's so many, you're welcome to go on my Spotify. I have a playlist for every emotion there is.
Do
There's
you?
so many, you just turn it on, and you're like, it'll just move you. So it's just allowing yourself to just literally, if you feel like collapsing, just let yourself collapse. You might spend a whole song in the collapse, but just allow that part of you to express the collapse. And then just allow the music when you feel moved, when your body feels moved, you just start to breathe and follow where your body wants to go, and you like linger in pleasurable stretches, and it's just like this super slow, you're just returning to your senses, right? You're just, it's just developing your felt sense. So if you've
Mhm.
been dissociated, this is a way to get you back, into your body. There was a lot of it. The cue is like, okay, hands on your body. Like even as you're just listening, just like feel how good it feels just to like put your
Mhm.
hands and just like pull down on your face and
Mhm.
neck and like all the way down. And you can do this neck stroking. It's like from the bottom of the chin and then just to here,
Mhm.
just to like the navel. It's this really nice vagus nerve activation thing.
Mhm.
Feels really good and helps bring you back to your center.
Mhm.
And always, like I'll say it again because it's the easiest way that you
Mhm.
can regulate is like sounds, any type of humming and growling or hissing or ugh, like whatever frustrated sounds, it's like whatever you feel, sound it out. Whether it needs to be underwater or in your car where no one's going to hear you, or you need to scream into a pillow, or like follow the somatic urges of your body. If you find yourself like your jaws clenching and your fists are fisting, then like you want to do something with that, like take a pillow and like punch, or you want to do like what is it that is going to elicit that what's going to complete the incomplete nervous system response. And sometimes just getting into your muscles, like you need something to push against, like get down into a push-up position and just slow. This is one of my favorite ways to work with anger, and just slowly get down. It's like a push-up position and you're angry, you're feeling your anger, and you're just like you're just kind of
Mhm.
putting it through your hands and into the floor and just like letting it burn, like allowing the muscle exertion, letting it to burn your anger. And it's just, and starting growling and whatever like sounds come, it's so good. And then to have the right music on in the background, it's just like when I learned it, it was gold because I used to exhaust myself trying to process anger. So I was like,
Mhm.
oh my God, I can process anger like while connected to pleasure. Awesome. I want to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, anger too. We had, I know she's here somewhere, but we had Bonnie. I got to lead my first rage ritual at a women's retreat.
Uh-huh.
And I still like I guide my own because
Yeah.
I have to, because I learned that if I don't let it out, then I will just it'll live within me and feel like anxiety
Yeah.
for until I let it out. And
Yeah.
so that was one of the most powerful experiences. And I feel it akin to what you probably witness in the women that you see. The women, and what also tickles me is that the two women who said, I don't know about that. I don't have a lot of anger. I don't have a lot of rage. Those two women are the ones that went full banshee, full banshee, like in this ritual. It was amazing and so incredibly beautiful. But I think it tickles me, right? I don't have any anger. I don't, and they were the quietest and the sweetest of the group. And
Those are always the ones that look out for those. Yep. I'm from the South and there's a lot of them around here. They're very polite. I'm just like, I can see it. It's like,
you gotta let it out.
been too polite for too long. You
Mhm.
need to stop saying yes to everybody. And like we need to connect you to your anger, actually,
Mhm.
is actually the medicine for that.
Yeah. And oh, what I'm also picking up on, and I think why I'm just really excited about S Factor now. I've seen you do it, but I didn't recognize or know that it encompassed so much more, especially as it relates to the emotions. So what
Mm,
I've been telling, and this is what I know to be true for me, is that our emotions are portals for all of the emotion that has yet to be felt. And so when we go into anger, we're not just feeling anger for that moment, we're feeling all the anger we have never felt. And
mm,
so that's what I love the intentionality of emotional work, but
mm,
also through the embody, moving it through the body. So you're already moving, you're already expressing, you're allowing it to move through you, not in judgment. And how gorgeous is that? How beautiful is that? To intentionally go through portals of emotion and invite that to come and move through you. I mean, yeah. I mean, and also what I love is you don't have to have a story. That's the other thing. There's no story. We don't have to talk about it.
Yeah, you don't need it. You actually, your body sometimes just wants to release the energy, and that's all that's needed. It's just sympathetic energy that needs to be released. You just have to discharge it, and you have to use your movement and your breath and your sounds to do that, right? And so
Yeah,
dancing is just probably the most pleasurable way to do it.
it absolutely is. It absolutely is. And what I love too, and what I'm also noticing is hmm, I lost my train there. Okay. I lost it. I don't know where it went. But there's just so much that I'm getting really lit up and excited about what it is that you're sharing. And again, the intentionality of allowing the emotions and finding the pleasure in it even too.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's like I feel like we've been so focused on trying to process pain, and so it's like you can keep doing that, but it also can be dysregulating if your nervous system doesn't have the capacity to feel
Mhm,
it. And so it's
mhm.
like, it's just like the other end of the extreme. I also have to have capacity for pleasure. And actually, the more capacity I have for pleasure, the more capacity I'm going to have for pain. And so it's like, it's just, it's just like one end of the spectrum. And so it's just, but it's like even the word pleasure, it's so interesting to me. Even just the word pleasure, the word erotic can be so triggering for people, for women even, and I'd love to just like reclaim those words, because it's just like there shouldn't be any like shame around those words. Yeah, uh, it's just I think I've seen so much beauty and so much power, like in like erotic embodiment that it's just
Mhm.
like oh, it's like more of a range of a human like expressing. It's so beautiful.
I've been in the reclamation phase of that erotic innocence, the innocence part of for many years now, and it is a reclamation. And yeah, when I hear, I will say because I'm somatically in tune to doing this work for a while, but yeah, when I hear you say erotic and pleasure, like there is still a tiny part of me, the good girl in me, that's like, no, no.
Yeah, I get it. I was raised Catholic, I get it. There's a lot around it, and
Yeah.
it's not ours, you know,
Mhm.
it's just not ours. It's
It's
kind of
not.
simple. It's just not ours. This
Yeah.
is actually just a program. And so, yeah, it's it's like a shutdown. There's like a shutdown of that feminine energy. And so, what does it say? I'm shy and quiet.
Kathy.
I thought of connecting with anger for the fix. Oh yeah. Yep. That's your avenue. It's a straight gateway to your power. Anger is always a straight. Just on the other side of anger is always power and clarity.
Oh, I really like that for you, Kathy. I know Kathy well, and Kathy reminds me of the two sweet angels that I mentioned before that were the quiet, sweet ones, and they let it leash. One of them's here. I don't think she would mind because we've already talked about it a little bit. Miss Bonnie. Bonnie was one of the women at that retreat, and she was, again, quiet and like, I don't know if I have anything there. And she unleashed and got her roar back. And Bonnie, this last year has been one of the most amazing transformational years of your life too, has it not? Which is really quite incredible.
I can be a wild child with the right people. Oh, we all can. We all can. Don't act like none of you are wild.
Safety, right? Isn't that the key? Like the safety. When we feel safe with others, then we feel safe to fully express who we are.
Totally. Totally. It's just like also if you feel like bored, like your soul wants to expand. You know, it's like the soul's always going to want to expand. And so if you feel this like sense of boredom with where you're at or like what you've been doing in your own process, it's just like shoot, start where am I too comfortable, right? It's like where can I like start to push my
Mhm.
edges of my comfort zone or push my edges a little bit, you know? It's just like that's also will build capacity in your nervous system so you don't stay in like the sameness.
I love that. Pushing the edges, which also makes so much sense again with the nervous system. It's like push against those boundaries, feel that friction,
Yeah.
feel that resistance and titration. That was another thing. And I use that word like crazy. You taught me titration as well.
I love that word. That's
It's
great.
so good.
I
Titration,
love that.
small little baby doses. We don't have to go ayahuasca. I mean, we can go there's spaces, but like tall, small little doses where we have time and the space to integrate. Just so important.
Yeah, I love ayahuasca. She's a really potent medicine for me. And I've worked with her more in the last year than I have in like the last 12 years. It would be like once a year. But this last year, last spring, she's like, we're gonna do some work together. And it was so powerful. And I have to say, like, because I know what it was like for me 10 years ago, it like blew my system. You know, it was like it was so like like I remember it taking like 6 months for me to integrate, and I couldn't be out in public, and I was sensitive to lights. It was just like it was like a Kundalini awakening of some sort. My first ayahuasca experience, and my nervous system didn't really have the capacity to hold it. So I've had that experience. I know what that feels like, and then the way um, yeah, that medicine has been working through me. She's like, okay, you're going to bring people to me, but you're going to plug in the safe and sound protocol
Mhm.
beforehand. So,
Mm.
and even do some of the lower chakra trauma work, so that by the time, and take them through
Mm.
a Imperium cleanse, like just set them up, so that by the time they sit with the medicine, their nervous system can actually hold the expansion of the medicine, and then support the integration. And so I was like, oh, well, that's smart. That's strategic. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's genius. It really makes so much sense. I really, my prayer is that more people would recognize that there is a deeper level of preparation that sometimes we need to undergo before tackling and expanding into those medicines. And we keep talking about this too on here. And um, our nervous system literally being the capacity of our nervous system is and the level of safety that we feel is the level of what we're going to be able to receive. We can't receive if we don't feel safe enough to receive XYZ, then we're not going to receive it. It's just we're never going to be able to, or we might receive it and hold it and then it'll somebody asked about money earlier. She said, I can manifest a lot of money, but then it's gone really quick. And not to say that the exact reason is because of her nervous system, but yeah, if she doesn't feel safe enough to hold on to it or doesn't trust herself in having it or is afraid somebody might take it, right, it
Mhm.
would make sense that it would disappear really quickly. And I think that's the same for everything in our life, everything that we desire. And I keep guys, the nervous system, like everything that we really truly want, everything that we're craving that's not yet showing up in our lives, I believe is on the other side of our nervous system being able to hold space for that.
1,000%.
Who
Yes, it's
knew?
the capacity to hold charge in your body. So if
Mm-hmm.
money like actually stresses you out, like on some level, then yeah, you might have a harder time holding like the charge of it, And so it is about like holding whether that's erotic charge or sympathetic charge in the body, right? It's like being able to hold charge in the body without shutting down or dissociating or
Mm-hmm.
like it's just the capacity to feel
Mm-hmm.
sensation, really, which is how the nervous system communicates to us is through sensation.
So much of what we've been doing and you just so you know, this is the third year we've done this event. The first 2 years was very spiritual. They were guided meditation activations. This year, Spirit came through and said, nope, it's somatic work. So we have been doing somatic work. We've been sensing, we've been feeling, we've been tapping into the parts of us that feel resistance. And then we've been going into the emotions. And then we go into the beliefs just to see if they evoke anything in us. But it's been all somatic work, which
Awesome.
Yeah, I just realized again and I believe it and even adding a spiritual lens to it, like calling in creator, calling in divine spirit to hold us as somatic for the win. Yes,
For the
Richie.
win. I was like, what's FTW?
FTW
Yeah. Okay.
for the win. Yeah, truly, you guys, transformation is in and through the body. Jordan's here for it too, here for somatic work. My mind and spirit will spiral out and my body grounds me. Mm,
I
yeah.
think about bringing my energy, my power, and my spirit into my body. I call all parts of my energy, power, and spirit back into my body. And just if you inhale into the crown or into your navel and just ground that to your feet, and you can say it 3 times. I now call all parts of my spirit, my power, and my energy back into my physical body, and then inhale the crown and even navel point, and then just exhale, just feel that energy going down your legs and through your feet, and just ground it into the center of the earth. And I find that's one of the quickest ways.
For me, I call it micro alignment. And I do that practice throughout the day because we psychically start to get fragmented and distracted and we engage with people and get emotionally or energetically attached, and then our mind will be thinking about the thing. And so I'm just like, okay, bring it back, bring it in, reel it in.
Reel
Let's be
myself in here. Whoa, a lot of threads
a lot of
open.
threads, bring it in, and I feel more present. And that's the reality, the intention from disassociation to full presence. When we're in disassociation and we're living outside of our body because we don't feel safe, or when we're in our mind going to the past, projecting into the future, trying to keep ourselves safe to predict the future, we're not in our body and we can't fully experience the moment.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
In fact, tying it back to the inner child work, I did not have a lot of childhood memories.
Mm.
A lot of that was just, and I would communicate with my brother and I'm like, oh, how do you remember all of those things? Like, I don't remember any of that.
Mm.
And in my reflection, I realized it's because of disassociation, because I was always hyper vigilant, hyper aware, sensing the energy beyond what was taking place in the space. So I
Yeah.
was just reading out here. And so, yeah, I don't have those visceral memories available, but I've been able to, through the somatic work, access them because they're in the body.
Amazing. Yeah, because they're just in the body. Isn't it amazing? I know anywhere. I've now put my hands on any part of somebody's body and it will elicit some, memory. And there's also like a way just to speak to the body. And the body, it's so brilliant. Like I trust each and every one of you's, for each and every one of you, I trust your body's intuition. And I did really trust the wisdom of the body so much after working with so many people, because the body will literally like reveal the next thing. It's like whatever the body's willing and ready to process and release is the thing that's going to come out. And so it's like it just takes a matter of guiding someone into their emotions and where do they hold that. And
Mhm.
things can come up, images and stuff, and that might be related to a memory or not. But you can even ask the body, like, hey, is it necessary for me to even go into the old story? And
Mm.
sometimes it is, and sometimes it isn't, which I think it's nice. Whereas, like, maybe in the past, I would just go straight to the story
Yeah.
in like a somatic reparenting process. It's like, oh, not always. We'll start with just so I call it somatic meditation with imagery, which is just like, what emotion do you feel? Where do you feel it in your body? And then just hone in like on that and what you're feeling, and then just see if your body, presents you with some sort of image to work with. And
Mm.
it's, get as many details as you can about it. And it's like you can have this little dialogue with this image that just represents one part of your subconscious mind, and it's just there to help you resolve like what's unresolved. And it's fascinating actually. It's like, oh, how long have you been there? What's your purpose? Like, you just kind of
What's
may
your
have to
purpose?
yeah, it's a fascinating, like going into the depths of your psychology, but like through the body.
I love that curiosity too. How long have you been here? What is your purpose? Like, you're here for a reason. You've got to be.
Yeah, and a lot of it's protection. I've been protecting you since you were this many years old, and but then you can choose like your current adult self. It's like, okay, well, thank you for doing that, and like this is how it's negatively impacting me now. So I feel like I don't, I'm a no. Like I don't need this anymore. And so you can choose. It's like you can choose for it to like dissolve in a way, or shift, jobs or something. Like it's just, yeah, it's fascinating.
I love it because it's kind of like a different version, of parts work. But
Yeah. And
but
somebody's asking me, "Oh, did you study parts work?" I'm like, "No." They're like, "Did you study IFS?" I'm like, "No." I'm like, it's just kind of been my own exploration, and yeah, it's just it's kind of but it's all levels. It's physical, emotional,
mhm,
spiritual. It's it's like energetic,
mhm,
So
mhm.
yeah, it's really fun. I never have an agenda. Like when I'm working with somebody, I'm just like genuinely as curious as them, like what's going to come up and out of the body. Can might have an idea because of what they look like, in their
Mhm.
posture and stuff, but you can't really assume like,
Yeah.
what's going to come up and out. And but 90% of the work with, those of you that are practitioners or looking for a practitioner, 90% of that work is that your practitioner is regulated in their nervous system because it even just gives your nervous system a chance to co-regulate with
Mhm.
them. And that'll feel like an exhale in your body. That will feel like, yeah, this person feels safe to me. I can open up to them. I have a sense of trust with them. So if you don't have that, like with your, whoever you're seeing, if it's a therapist or practitioner or coach or whatever, if you don't have that, um, you want that.
Mhm.
It's your nervous system telling you, so you can trust your body.
Mhm.
It's your nervous system. Oh, there's something not quite, and it could be from a past trigger. It could be
Mhm.
something your intuition is picking up on. You don't really need to know, but you can
Mhm.
trust your body. It's just like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm getting back.
And man, can we trust our body? Our body is so intelligent and smart, so much so that it knows how much we can handle. And so when we were children, it was like, nope, can't handle that right now.
Hmm.
And now as we're adults, it's only through, and this is what I've been sharing too, it's only through safety that that stuff is able to come up. If we don't feel safe, then it's probably not going to emerge because you're not prepared or ready to process it. And that's how smart the body is. And so that's why I feel like we're also just peeling back layers, because if you processed all at once and it just dumped on you, you would fry your system. So we have to process slowly over time and, lovingly invite those places and spaces to reveal themselves and hold them in love and compassion. And
Yeah.
and it does just dissolve. It really is just a disillusion. It's like, oh, I'm not needed anymore.
Yeah, totally. Totally, right? It is. Disillusion is a great word. And you get really good at like death. You get really good at like letting, like, there's parts that you need to integrate, like of the wounded inner child, but then there's also parts that can just die, and just old parts and old identities that can just die. And we have to get really good at like death and rebirth, and yeah, it's like the capacity in our nervous system is everything. Like when it comes to, I mean, it's like name any aspect of life. It's just like it's gonna make it better.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you're any of you with chronic digestion issues or autoimmune issues or chronic pain in the body, especially, it number one priority should be your nervous system. And because if that's the only way. When your nervous system is in a ventral vagal regulated state, your muscles and your the tension will decrease and the pain will decrease. But then that's when the brain can actually fire better, like cognitively, and it's every aspect. Like our digestion is better, everything, mood is better, and so and then things can heal in the
Mm-hmm.
body. And so that's how I came to it, starting in physical therapy, because I was 3.5 years and 4 years in orthopedic, longer, 5, 6 years, orthopedics. Like people's pain was not just physical, it was very clear.
Mm-hmm.
Like, well, there's a psychosomatic component here, there's a nervous system component here that I don't really feel equipped to quite like address in the way that
Mm-hmm.
it seems to, like I didn't have tools. So it's like as soon as I left like a clinic, I just went and started studying craniosacral therapy because I wanted to know about the nervous system. And then I didn't even know that that was going to lead me into the somatic work, but
Mm-hmm.
that's what the path was. And then it was just this personal journey of, yeah, healing trauma, and we teach what we need.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Exactly that. I mean, that's what's so beautiful. We also teach what we maybe need and needed, and that becomes our passion. Like that's what we're most passionate about, to help and serve others, because we can just so deeply relate, because we were and are and still there too.
Totally. It's such a journey. We're all in it together. And in the deepest like medicine ceremony work, like what comes over and over again is like the thing that relieves our discomfort for being human is knowing that we're doing this together
Hmm.
and doing it together. And so deeply, like where I was just like, oh, it's like you bringing yourself into connection with more humans is so healing, you know? And so it's just like we just have to get over, a lot of us, our own resistance or dysregulation and around
Mhm.
people, you know? And then that ends up being the path of just like how can I continue to expand my capacity for connection and intimacy, really, because you know those things are going to massively impact the health of your nervous system.
Mhm. And your happiness. I do believe we were built to be in connection. We were built to be in community. We are never meant to do it alone. And it's even proven with the blue zone regions. They studied the blue zone regions and why do these people live so long? And they thought it would be diet related or happiness related. And the number one contributing factor was having community. The number one contributing factor was having, and not just family, not just immediate family, but community, knowing, because guess what? It builds safety in your nervous system because you know if anything happens, I'm taken care of. If I lose my house, I've got a community that's got my back. If I've got, and I say that, we actually had one of the speakers whose house burnt down just yesterday. And my gosh, she's been doing this work for, she's a shaman and does medicine facilitation and stuff. And so I'm just like, if it happened to anyone, and she's got such a close community, I'm like, of all people, she's gonna make it through this beautifully. But community, like she's, where everyone's showing up and supporting her and already flooding money to her and offered her a home and offering her donations. And I mean, that's what community does for us. Again, it just creates almost a sense of relaxation in our nervous system that allows us just to know we're okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's huge. I talked about it. I did a TEDx talk in Africa in 2023, and it was like the main points was like we're social nervous systems walking around all needing physical touch and eye contact and connection. And so if you're missing those on a regular basis, like your physical and your emotional wellness will go down pretty dramatically, you know? And so
Yeah.
if you really are like depressed and isolated, it is like people like are your medicine.
I
Yeah.
remember that actually. That was something that I had navigated. I went through a couple of years of just isolated work. And then when I started going out in community, or when I even, started just even the physical touch, the first time I had somebody hold me, I was like, wow, did I need this? I didn't realize how much I just needed to be held or hugged or just being around others. So yeah, I
Oh,
it's it really is so integral to our happiness, our fulfillment, our survival. We feel like, even again, just the community itself, it's like, okay, I'm my our needs, it's a need, it's a, I don't know what the word
it
wants to
is.
come
No,
through,
it
but
is
it's a need.
yeah, it's a human need. It's a human like a basic need. Like, and yeah, I feel like it's the term platonic intimacy, I feel like needs to be more normalized, which is like
Mm-hmm,
intimacy without the sexual connection. Um, Even if like, someone's attracted to the other person, you still know how to contain your energy. And
mm-hmm.
so just this like becoming aware of energetically what's happening, but also understanding that like it's so healthy to like cuddle each other and spoon each other and just hold hands or, eye contact and just, or just like rubbing somebody's arms, why it's just human touch. It's just so, you just can't underestimate, like the power of just
Mm-hmm.
like just putting
Mm-hmm.
your hands on somebody. Like people just need touch. And if you're really isolated and not partnered right now, then I am please go get massages, therapy, hands on your body so that it really fills that need because it's really helpful to regulate your nervous system.
Yeah. Oh, sweet souls. Let me drop your links in here. I know Alondra did, but it was kind of hard to see. I know we didn't get, there was a lot of people that, the somatic reparenting sounded really exciting for them. And so I'm really thrilled to be able to share this with you guys. Her free gift here is a somatic reparenting meditation. And you can I have it and you can listen to it over and over and over again, and then you learn it, and then you don't need the meditation anymore, although it's just nice sometimes to be guided. It really is. But
Totally. Yeah.
then you could just drop in. You're like, oh gosh, okay, there she is. I feel her. She's showing up. She's angry. She's pissed.
Yeah, you got it. You just drop it. It's like a 30-minute meditation, but eventually it'll still be like a few minute process for you. It can be very quick in real time. You can even do it in real time. But yeah, it's helpful to be guided through it, and to, especially if you're newer, to
Mhm.
really connecting with your inner child and your
What's
body.
next for you? What other than S Factor? What else is coming from you? What do you got? I'm excited to hear.
Uh, I'll tell you what I just signed up for, which is,
Okay.
I haven't really said this publicly, but I just signed up for, so do you know who Kimmy Inch is?
I don't. No.
Yeah, so she's a somatic therapist and an
Okay.
energy healer, and she's been a pro dominatrix for 23 years.
Okay.
And she's
Okay.
using like conscious somatic therapeutic kink basically to heal trauma. And she's
Oh,
like,
wow.
brilliant. And yeah, I just was like, whoa. I was like, I found my mentor. And yeah, I just signed up for her. It was called the Pro Dom Mastery Training, but it's really like a
Woo!
leadership training, It's like learning about leadership and followership. And it's just like she just relates it to life, and I just love how she works, it's not about sex, clothes stay on, like it's more about like the psychology of it, and like how to set up a
Mm,
scene to really help someone heal, like on a very, very deep level. And it fascinates me. I don't know if this is exactly what I'm going to end up doing, but it's like personally and professionally, like it
yeah.
definitely was just like this very obvious spark of aliveness amidst a lot of death around me. And
Mhm.
it just like that, it's that spark. I was like,
Yep.
there's such a pull, like to do
Follow
it.
it.
I think it's like I just trusted my body's like
Hmm.
this. And I was like, okay. And then as soon as I signed up, I was like fully felt so activated from it. I was like,
Mm.
whoa. I was like, I think it's beyond my logical mind why I'm signing up for it. I don't know
Hmm.
exactly what I'm
Hmm.
going to do with it, but I feel like it's going to like fill in some gaps for me, and I'll be able to structure my sessions differently, and even my online offerings differently, like from a different lens or an added lens or something. Like I'm not quite sure what it's going to look like, but it's I'm now not bored. I feel entertained.
Absolutely. Gosh, that sounds exciting. It sounds incredibly exciting. And yeah, if it'll be interesting and I'll be curious to see how you weave and integrate that in your work. And
Yeah, or even
it's
talk about, but like, my family's like on, family's so but
no,
it's
I'm
just
a
so,
professional dom now.
yeah, I don't know that that's what I'm gonna do with it. It's just
I
like,
know.
but it does, it's definitely a spark, and I can see the
Yeah.
therapy in it, I can, for both myself and someone receiving it, because I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
I crave being that on that like submissive side, like just
Hmm.
somebody direct me, just take control, like just, it's just something about it. It just is where it's like surrender practice. And it's
Hmm.
so like, I've never felt so calm in my nervous system in that state. It's just like this very, like, it's like nervous system work, or like if you've ever done shibari,
Hmm.
like the ropes, like even if like they put a chest harness on, like the moment you're tied, you're like your nervous system just drops. It's insane. I was like, whoa. I was like, this is nervous system work? Like Shibari? I was like, rad. I was like, this is so awesome.
I
Yeah,
love
so it's like it feels like a fun spark to follow.
Absolutely. And I'm tickled by it too, because I had a friend who does Shibari, and she also is a professional Dom. And she did a little mini Fem Dom play shop about 6 months ago. And they invited me to come, and I went and played, and we did ropes, and it was so much fun. And
Yeah.
I was just blown away because of course I had misconceptions uh, and just naturally. And when I, it felt so incredibly empowering. And I realized how I'm very in my regular world, I've got this. Like I'm in control. But in relationships with men, I've always played the more servitude role, like giving my power away to them. And so coming into like, okay, how can I reclaim that power in a really gentle, fun, and playful way? Was just really like, whoa, this is amazing. And it's that kicked off a series of little experiences and events that I have done since with other sisters, like topless brunches and yoni casting and all sorts of these beautiful. And I'm like, this is all, so I'm really truly like this. I feel like this is my season of erotic innocence reclamation. Like truly, I've been calling it for years, but like now it's the true the erotic innocence is really it's coming through strong. So I really love hearing what you're sharing because I'm like, okay, like, yeah, I can relate to what I've experienced thus far and how, and my own programming, religious programming against so much of this. And even just in the last 8 months, 6, 7, 8 months, how empowering and liberating I've found it all.
Totally. It is like this, it's like if you practice being in the leadership role, which is like the dominant role, right? It's like you have to embody your power. You have to connect your power to your throat to be able to give those like precise verbal commands, which didn't used to come like so it comes a lot better now than it
Mm-hmm.
used to. And then like with the submissive, yeah, it's like a literal physical practice of like letting go of control. Which like I'm sure we all could use, that. And so it's just I can see the medicine in both
Yeah.
roles.
Absolutely. And what I loved also that she had shared with me as a Dom, she said that I'm actually not in control. She said, actually, who's in control is the submissive. She said, it is their nervous system, it is their capacity, it is their safety that is driving the ship. And yes, they'll push edges and boundaries because that's what they're there to do. I even recently, I just reminded of there was a video that I saw, and I think I saved it because I'm in the middle of this event right now. But it was a woman who was down in like a kind of puppy dog ish place, and the practitioner was coming around, and she was lovingly, reprimanding her, but it wasn't for bad. What was that?
I shared it. I shared it.
Maybe did you? Was that you?
It was Kimmy Inch.
Oh, was that okay? She was like
She was
lovingly.
blonde.
Yes, yes. Okay. When you said Kim, I heard Kim and I was thinking totally different. I had a different visual. Is that the same video where she was like she was like,
Yeah,
how
she
dare you not, follow your truth? How dare, like, and I
yeah.
think the girl at the end said, yes, daddy. And is that the video? I was
No, it is, but what
like,
she's
okay.
on all fours, but
Yeah.
she, like me has her chin lifting up and she's like, I'm gonna punish you, but I'm
Yes.
gonna punish you for like all the times you forgot how beautiful you were, or you didn't cherish yourself, or she went through all these things and she's like, do you agree? And she said, yeah, she's like, yes. And she's like, yes, what? And she's like, yes, daddy. And then she like pushes her head down and goes behind her.
Yes.
I was like, oh my God, it's like, I think she's brilliant. So I'm going to keep like, it's like, I can't help but talk about it because it's just so fun.
Well, clearly, again, I saw it and I was like, oh, okay, there's something for me there. But it was something that I had to like put in my back pocket because I didn't have the space to like go deeper in. But I was like, because there were simultaneously, I was triggered by that video, part of me, like a little bit, but
Yeah.
also like
Are you
so
triggered?
curious and like, okay, there's
What were
something
you
there.
triggered? What was the trigger?
The trigger was I think it was a little bit the punishment aspect because I was spanked as a child.
Mhm.
And so I have that residual kind of abuse piece.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit that.
Yeah.
Um, and then it was the daddy. Also the daddy thing, like hearing somebody say yes, daddy, and it being a woman, and even so, I was like, oh, but let's be real. Who did my punishment? It was dad. It was daddy. So
Mhm.
yeah, it was the what it brought up for me around punishment and around, the father wound.
Oh my God, that's so epic. I'm just like imagining like you in a scene and then being able to like reclaim that and be in control of it. Cause there's some other video I saw of Kimmy Inch also, and she's just like giving she's still the submissive, but she's giving her the control of like, you're going to tell me exactly when to spank you.
Mm.
And so it's like she's rewriting the thing. And then she's like, you're going to tell me every step of the way
Like
exactly
how
when,
hard, how,
how hard, how much
when, yeah,
pressure. Yeah.
yeah.
And like puts control, empowerment back into the scene, you know?
Oh, I'm just
Isn't it?
feeling so lit up by it. I really am. I am feeling so lit up by that because
So
again, yeah, that's reclamation of power and control. Because in those moments, especially as a child, you do feel helpless. And the adults, they're so big and they're overpowering, and especially in a situation like being spanked and being reprimanded in that way, like
yeah.
you aren't in control. You just aren't, or at least you
Yeah.
don't feel you are.
Totally. And like you could do if you like did I'm so I'm imagining a scene around that. It's just like, yeah, like imagine it doesn't have to be this really hard spank like maybe you were spanked as a kid. Like there's intensity levels
Yeah.
to spanking or the flogging or like whatever it is. If you even want to do impact play, you don't even have to do that part, you know. Some of it can just be like sensation play, and just verbal commands. And I really like the shibari piece because I know what it does
Mhm.
to the nervous system. It's just like
Mhm.
imagine when they talk about subspace, the person drops into subspace. I'm imagining it's that like drop in the nervous system.
Yeah, and it's interesting too. I never put two and two together with Shibari. When you were speaking about it, I kind of saw, like, those weighted blankets. I
Mm.
kind of saw Shibari as like being that weighted blanket.
Oh, totally. Yeah, because it's just like pressure. It's just pressure. I mean, even if you just give
A
yourself
hug.
pressure, it just feels
Yeah.
good. Like I kind of melt a bit. If any, like, especially if a man knows how to like give me the right pressure in the right places and the right squeezes, it
Mhm.
just does something so good, like to my nervous system. And I'm like, yeah, just, you could do this
Uh,
to yourself
uh,
a lot.
uh,
You could
uh,
do this to
mm,
yourself
mm,
a
mm,
lot.
mm. Oh, I will read checking in the comments before we wrap up. Shibari has come up more for you lately. Amazing. Last
Yeah.
few weeks, she had never heard of it before.
Oh,
Ileana,
cool.
awesome. Here to acclaim erotic innocence and playfulness in our experiences.
I see
Amazing.
Ilana. She's lighting up in the chat. I can see your face the most, Ilana. It's really cute.
Yeah. Awesome.
She's really enjoying the conversation.
So sweet. I'm so radiant soul over there. And Jordan says, I understand that our inner child is connected to our body and trauma through our parents, but why does so often relate to sex?
I understand that our inner child is connected, our body and Jordan, can you just unmute and say your
Yeah.
question, please? Do you have time for that?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I understand that I typed that wrong, but I understand that our bodies and our trauma are connected with our inner child and our parent dynamic. But I'm curious why it's so often related to eroticism or sex. So I'm just kind of
Why? What's
curious,
related to eroticism or sex?
Mhm.
like, why again, like the daddy scenario, or I don't know, just like erotic eroticism or sexual encounters, and myself included, like the word daddy, and that, it's like that could be a turn on or whatever else, but it's like, but I don't want to have sex with my dad. So I'm just curious why those are all maybe correlated with a lot of people, and like I don't know, just like I guess trying to understand the connection between the association. Does that make sense?
I would love you to just say one question, like just give me a sentence, like tell me your question. I'm really trying to get it, but I'm like, I didn't quite gather it from what you said.
I'm not sure I know I'm just curious how it,
You know how to
I guess
say it? Yeah.
I guess everything is connected is what I'm saying, but I like to understand it better. The connection between our healing and our inner child with our trauma and our parents, and the connection between that and eroticism, sex, and language, and things that have to do with, in a sense, like
Mm.
maybe our trauma or not, do you get what I'm saying?
Hmm. Yeah, the way I see it is like through the lens of the nervous system and like through the lens of energy. And so like when there's, all of the childhood trauma in the body, it's like that will compress in all of our life force energy, which is inherently erotic. And so this is like, other people might answer this very differently, but like it's just how I see things, a very like energetic, like nervous system perspective. And so it's like that erotic, that life force energy, as long as we're chronically dysregulated, as long as we have this like unprocessed emotion, unprocessed things we need to say, just unprocessed emotional processes like stuck in the body, then we can't access that life force energy, which is related to our sex and related to our creativity and just our primal self. And so it's just that part of the self, the erotic self, you could say, is shut down if we don't do this other work, right? That sometimes, I mean, I can say for me, the sacral chakra came last. I did every other chakra before I got to sacral chakra. And I remember having that like years and years ago, like having that realization, like, whoa, I've done so much work on every chakra, but I haven't really touched the sacral chakra. And I knew I had stuff, like raised Catholic, super shamed by it, lots of, grew up around a lot of divorce and betrayal and cheating and sex is bad and, all of it. So I feel like, yeah, it's funny that I'm the one doing what I'm doing now, because it's just, I feel entertained, and I feel like it's like this part of the divine feminine that wants to be a little bit entertained. And like, so I encourage all of you, if any of you are just bored, like in your life, like what's the thing that's going to like push your edges, what's the thing that's going to make you grow? And like, I just knew like this training would make me grow on a lot of levels.
Absolutely. And what I also, Jordan, uh, several of my friends have read the book Existential Kink. I have not yet read it. And for whatever reason, when you asked your question, that was the book that just popped into my, it was like Existential Kink. So maybe there might be something for you there. And cause I kind of, being called daddy, or saying daddy, if that does turn you on, which from what I understand, Jordan, you're saying that it does, right? And so, but also the taboo of like, well, daddy in a sexual context, yet also not my daddy. So again, the existential kink might, again, I haven't read the book, but that could be. Have you read that book yet?
Yeah, I've gotten through like the part of the chapter basically that I've gotten through part of the chapter that is explaining the method, but I
Okay.
understand it,
Okay.
and it is true. It's just like, look at what your fantasies are, like look at that. And also like, you can sort of just like, yeah, she has this erotic spin, like, I don't know, kinky spin, I guess you could say. It's just the way she's talking about it, but just like kind of being able to deal with the things that you deal with in your life that are really frustrating, like through this like erotic lens of like, just look how much you actually enjoy like feeling unwanted or like look how much you enjoy the chase, of like the anxiety, of chasing the unavailable guy. Look how much that turns you on. And so it's just like flipping it on its head a bit, which I like. I think
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah, I'll definitely listen to it probably another time through after I finish it, but I love it. It's super, I feel like, in line too with just the like Kimmy's work and
Mhm.
really bringing, it's just like I see it as like energetic attunement, capacity building work
Mhm.
for holding charge in the body, and like holding erotic charge in the body is a way to build nervous system capacity, right? It's like yeah, like I
Creative
need
life force energy too. All that creative energy that we pour into our creations and everything that we're here to birth and create, that energy, that being able to flow through our body, is just so crucial.
It's so crucial. It has everything to do with like your spinal health too, and like
Mhm.
your pelvic health, and your ability to even access like higher states of consciousness. And you have to be like regularly moving your spine and regularly moving just like the density of planet Earth, like through your body. And so it is like, and getting in as much as you can get in water. Bodies of water is, I feel so important. I feel like it's why I get to live in Hyena. I'm in Pensacola, Florida right now with my family, but I live on Hyena on the North Shore of Kauai, and it's just like paradise.
I'm so glad that you guys are enjoying this conversation. I'm so glad that we got to bring this conversation forward as well, because yeah, as we're clearing out the places and spaces and the things within us that we that are keeping us in limitation. Shame is also a really big piece of that. And we even in earlier conversation this morning, that was something that came up with one of the angels attending. So I love that we get to like go even deeper into that here.
I love
Dr.
that.
Summer, thank you so incredibly much. I'm really excited for what you've got going and what you're dipping your toes into, and I'm excited to see how it informs your work and
Me
what
too.
what comes out of it.
I'm also very curious. Yeah, I'll be excited to share, I'm sure, when the time's right.
I
Thank
look
you so
forward
much
to
for
it.
having me. What a beautiful conversation. It was really lovely to be with you and your community.
Such a pleasure. Thank you so much. You guys. Also, I know, do you have your TED Talk on YouTube? Yeah,
I do. Yeah,
I
it's
would
called,
love to share that.
I can put the link in the chat, but it's called Resolving Anxiety and Trauma Through the Nervous System. Let's see, here it is. I'll post it in the chat and you can grab it.
Awesome. I'm going to share that. Let me grab it so I can share it with the email and under your page as well. Yeah, I know people would love and yeah, I love the evolution of your work. I just really love and appreciate the evolution of your work.
I
Well,
should have had that light on.
it's slowly getting darker here and there. I can see the light starting to shift in both of our places.
I was like, wow, I look really blurry. Whoa. Oh, right. I should have.
Light.
Thank you so much for this conversation. It was so fun.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure. Thank you. So thank you. Just thank you. Thank you for the ways in which, again, it's really sweet. It really is when we get to follow somebody's body of work. And again, it is so deeply and profoundly supportive in our own lives to then get to have a conversation and get to connect with you in this way is really meaningful for me. So thank you.
Oh, I loved it. Thank you so much for the invitation. Yeah, invite me back anytime. This is amazing. Just the energy of the event feels so good. So good job. Good job, sister.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you all, everyone who's here tuned in with us. Love you so incredibly much. Join us back here tomorrow, Friday, day 5. Love you guys. Bye.